It's the final rankings episode for week 13, also known as Thanksgiving week. Here are your onesies, the quarterbacks and tight ends. Hayden, I might be in a onesie on Thursday and Friday this week.
Wow.
We'll see what happens.
Lucky.
We also treat this episode as our game-by-game preview. I know we'll be talking a lot about, defenses and injuries on top of that. And at the top of the list, we have a number of Thanksgiving Day matchups. Let's kick it off with the first one. Patrick Mahomes is your quarterback one at the Dallas Cowboys. 3.5-point favorites, game total of 52. He's been the quarterback 22, 14, and 10 over the last 3 weeks. So what gives you the gumption to rank him as the top quarterback this week?
That would be the Dallas Cowboys defense. So they are the worst against fantasy quarterbacks. That's 3.4 more points per game than the second worst unit across the league. Without Trey Smith and with Quinnen Williams there, I just don't think the Chiefs are going to even try to run the ball, nor should they. It just hasn't been working. And then in the secondary, what has the Chiefs offense been really good at? Against zone coverage. Where are the Cowboys? Fourth highest in zone coverage snaps on top of that. It's like the game plan is extremely obvious to me. I think you're going to be able to have all these kind of break contain moments, throw into zone coverage from Patrick Mahomes. On top of that, the second most scrambles against zone coverage is Patrick Mahomes, up at 32 of them. So you're going to get some additional scramble yards. This one's extremely obvious to me. 23.5 fantasy points in the underdog pick'em lobby, super high game total. But I'm expecting like one of these like huge Patrick Mahomes moments, got to have it situation. And that's when he typically plays at his best. And also when he typically runs more, and every game matters here for the Chiefs.
It's likely easier said than done that these, defenses can go from, running man coverage at like a 15% clip up to a 50% clip. But that's really what every team facing the Chiefs should absolutely do.
Yeah, they'll try.
Because the splits, versus man, which are bad, and zone, which are amazing, are so drastic for them. I will add, in the last 2 weeks, Dallas has produced a 42% pressure rate on opposing quarterbacks, which is the third best mark in the league. They're definitely going to need that. And a big thing to me, the Chiefs are basically a zero in terms of their explosive run game this season, unless it's the Patrick Mahomes scrambles. But, they have been so successful in terms of success rate running on third and short, fourth and short, and especially once they get to the red zone. So if somehow like the 5-man fronts of Quinnen Williams, Kenny Clark, Odigizua can stop Hunt on those third and fourth and shorts and like get off the field in turnover on down situations, that's as good as a Patrick Mahomes turnover. And other teams just have totally been unable to do that against the Chiefs offense so far this season.
I will say that the Chiefs also have just kind of the change ups, like all those plays to Travis Kelce and Rashee Rice and Xavier Worthy, even sometimes Brashard Smith, kind of if they don't want to run the ball up the gut. Andy Reid, that's like what he's known for, is to have the pivots there. So if the first ones get stuffed because it's Quinnen Williams against a backup right guard, then let's go on to the next one and we can do some Travis Kelce, Rashee Rice stuff.
Let's now go to a Black Friday game. This is Jalen Hurts as your quarterback 2 against the Chicago Bears. Eagles in this one, 7-point favorites at home with a team total just shy of 26 points. You're expecting a lot here against a Bears defense that has been quite bad, and we still don't know the status of their top 2 cornerbacks in this matchup.
Top 2 cornerbacks are questionable. All 3 of their linebackers are questionable. Their defensive line is just not that good. So there's a chance where the Bears defense is super limited, or they're all back and it's more of an even matchup. I think there's more data now suggesting that the Eagles should go really pass heavy and then finish drives off with Jalen Hurts. They're not going to see as many Saquon Barkley runs down the stretch because they're just not working. Last week was actually a season high in neutral pass rate for the Eagles, which was working for a lot of the game until they started to try to run the ball on first and second down. In the second half, those would get stuffed, and then all of a sudden they were punting it. So I would expect the Eagles to pass the ball more than they have. And also, both receivers look like they're happy at the moment. AJ Brown's starting to get some production, so he's happy. Devontae Smith's still making plays. And the team total is really high. So for Jalen Hurts in fantasy, we're kind of back to the sweet spot where we're not like worried about the Saquon Barkley just stealing all the work. Now it's like all the fantasy points are largely rolling through Jalen Hurts. So I want to treat him like an elite fantasy quarterback again, even without Lane Johnson here. I'm just like not as worried about the Bears defensive line as I am with some other units.
I do want to bring up some underlying metrics that have been the thorns in the side of the Eagles so far this season and why their offense doesn't feel as good as it did last year. We all know about the rushing attack. We bring that up every single week. But the Eagles actually go 3-and-out at the highest rate in the NFL and have been the highest rate. I believe the NFL Daily with Greg Rosenthal pointed this out since like the 2010 Oakland Raiders at the time.
Yep.
Which is a crazy stat for a team with all this talent. On top of that, 27th in third down conversion rate. So they do have the best red zone touchdown success rate in the league. That's why they score touchdowns. I'm excited for this one. And we'll talk about it on the other end with Caleb Williams and Ben Johnson going up against this Vic Fangio side. But yeah, hopefully the best football is yet to come here for the Philadelphia Eagles from start to finish offensively. And with their schedule the rest of the way, that can easily be the case.
I also saw a defensive lineman break down Eagles stuff. I think it was on Kevin Clark's podcast. And he was saying that the shotgun inside zone runs with the Eagles this year, defenses are playing it differently than before. And it's just completely eliminating things like more 5 down linemen against those looks. And they have not established a change. We still don't see very many under center runs. We don't see much of like outside zone or pitches and stuff like that. And until we see that, then I just think that the ground game's kind of stuck. And that's why I just keep saying, all right, if we're not going to change the things up front, then let's just throw the ball down the field and live with the variance, because more times than not, that's a good strategy.
That was Chris Canty on Kevin Clark show. Go and watch that. I know you joke with me when I say this. My friend, Chris Canty, believe it or not. Okay. For 2 reasons. One, Chris Canty, Charlotte guy, went to my rival high school, which, by the way, that means Chris Canty at 6'8" and however many pounds he was in high school, private school, was going up against people like me.
Hey,
just wrecking them, totally wrecking them.
Low man wins, right?
Yeah, no, not in that case. That's for sure. Yeah. I never faced off against him. That's for sure.
Good.
And then the other part, Chris Canty, we go way back in terms of the NBC Sports Network days on Pro Football Talk. So he and I would always do the defensive line prospects together, which was also hilarious because, again, his size. We were sitting behind the same desk. He had to be all the way at the bottom of his, and it was like me, Jason Taylor, and Chris Canty, and I was always at the top because the top of raising my desk chair up. Anyways,
there you go.
Talking about like Sheldon Rankins and A'Shawn Robinson, long time ago.
Well, maybe we should get him for defensive line prospects.
We definitely could get him on.
Yeah,
he will 100% answer the call.
That'd be dope.
Final thing, big revenge game spot here for Chauncey Gardner-Johnson.
That's every week for him.
If we could open up the prediction market lobby, I wonder what the prediction would be, the outcome would be if he lasts through this entire game.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, the trend across the league, we'd have to offer why he's getting ejected, what body part, what spittle, whatever it's going to be.
There is precedent for dick punches right now, so I don't know if he'll go in that direction. Okay, Lamar Jackson is your quarterback 3. This is against the Cincinnati Bengals. Ravens 7-point favorites here. Can't wait for this one, despite, as you and I have both gone back and watched, Lamar Jackson isn't even close, I would say, to the level that he was playing at last season.
Yeah, you can feel it. Like there's times where I think he would have scrambled if he was fully healthy, where he was either deciding not to scramble or at the last second would take off and then just kind of get hawked from behind. We just typically haven't seen that with Lamar Jackson. Now, as we get further away from the injury, the games become more important. You're not playing the Jets. You're actually playing an in-division game on Thanksgiving in primetime. Maybe we see a better version of Lamar Jackson. I'm kind of just hoping there. Also hoping that Rashad Bateman returns. It sounds like he's going to return. That's also like a pretty big element because he's their like downfield threat in the offense. And like when you don't have him, you're talking about guys that average 1-2 receptions per game. So if Rashad Bateman does come back, I do like that. Bengals have not been able to stop anybody. We do get Joe Burrow. This game is like super important. So if he doesn't kind of turn it around here, then I think we should have talked about like resetting expectations for what we should expect out of the Ravens, because there's really no excuses. Trey Hendrickson's still out. Their first round edge rusher, he's out. They've pretty much given up trying to tackle in the secondary right now. So I'm expecting a huge Derrick Henry game, and then hopefully Lamar Jackson kind of return to somewhat of himself. And hopefully that just means like more accurate passing too, because even like the passing numbers have not been quite as clean. I think the offensive line's a little bit worse. So this would be a good get right spot, but we can't just assume that's going to happen because the last month we have eyeballs.
Yeah, against man coverage overall, Lamar has completed 9 of 23 passes for 108 yards without a touchdown. Against cover 0, this is according to Rich Rebar on the worksheet, he has completed 3 of 11 passes.
Yep.
We're going to see, obviously, some man coverage with, the isolated DJ Turner, probably against Zay Flowers here.
Yeah.
And then hopefully Lamar can win outside of that. But the extended stuff is just not nearly as good. I mean, the dynamic change of direction with the one-step explosiveness that he used to have just isn't there with, all the injuries that he's dealt with so far this season. He's averaging a career low 3.7 rushing points per game, which is quarterback 14 on the season, which is not what people drafted in this area. Josh Allen up next as quarterback 4. This is at the Pittsburgh Steelers. I'll give you the floor for this one because the Bills on the road projected for 25.5 points with a game total of 47.5 in this one.
Yeah, the Steelers defense has gotten a little bit better over like the last month or so, but the Bears got them on a couple coverage busts. That's kind of just been the negative of the Steelers defense is just for a while now, there's been a lot of coverage busts, and that's kind of what the Bills offense needs to create explosives through the air right now because they're not winning any one-on-one matchups. Like you bring in Brandon Cooks off of after not being claimed on waivers, like for a reason. It's because you don't trust what you have on the perimeter. So Josh Allen still can go superhero mode, even in a game where he had a lot of like turnover worthy plays and like didn't play like himself. He still goes absolutely crazy. So don't want to like overreact here. I think a road game in Pittsburgh is like less than ideal, but this is not like the crazy Steelers defense right now. And their first rounder, Derek Harbin, who I really like. He's like very powerful, like more powerful than I thought he was going to be. He's now out with an injury, and Alex Highsmith's been missing some time too. So we'll get final injury reports there. Road game in Pittsburgh, not my favorite, but it's Josh Allen.
Right now, this isn't a weather concern game either. There'll be others that we talk about. So just keep that in mind as we're in November/December on the road in Pittsburgh. Yeah, I mean, he's taken more sacks this season, but
a lot more.
A big reason why he took 8 sacks last week is because Will Anderson and Donnell Hunter are just absolute freaks. And while TJ Watt, is very good, I would put him a tier below those guys. And don't come at me, Steelers Nation. Do not do it. Okay, we'll move on with your quarterback 5, Matthew Stafford at the Carolina Panthers. Panthers defense down a whole bunch of critical pieces for them. J.C. Horn, concussion, Trayvon Moehrig, suspension, and then their cornerback 3, who would be in place of J.C. Horn on the outside, and Corey Thornton out for the year with a broken leg.
Yep, they're projected for a lot of points. Stafford looks like the MVP. He gets an occasional goal line throw touchdown to Devontae Adams on top of it. He's still doing no-look passes every single week. He's like in a complete rhythm. The Carolina Panthers got like a decent defensive tackle group going, but still the rest of their defense is not very good. So like it would be insane to say anything negative about what Stafford and the Rams are putting out there right now.
He's thrown 25 touchdown passes to 0 interceptions over his past 8 games. Panthers cannot pressure the quarterback. No. That's a big part of it here. And then you just have to hope that the early touchdowns that are scored are to wide receivers or tight ends, which I actually believe is a somewhat solid bet since the Panthers' strength might be their run defense on that side of the ball. So, I could see easily a Matthew Stafford 3 touchdown performance once again. We've gotten a number of those.
Yes, we have.
Drake Maye is your quarterback 6. This is against the New York Giants. What are you expecting here for Drake Maye, who once again opened last week with a rough interception, pick 6 in the opposite direction, but now it's against a Giants defense who has a pass rush, but literally nothing else on defense.
Yeah, I think this is where this one gets a little bit complicated for me because we are down 2 offensive linemen. Will Campbell, we just learned he's going to go to IR, so he's going to miss pretty much the rest of the regular season. They'll get him back for the playoffs there. That's a pretty big injury because so much of Drake Maye's fantasy points and just overall production is just downfield shots. And obviously the longer you have to work down the field, the better likelihood of actually converting them. And we're just talking about really lackluster depth on New England. And while the Giants defense has been beyond pathetic, everyone can agree their defensive line when they're going is really, really good. The Giants also just fired their defensive coordinator. Maybe there's a little bit of a bump there. They start putting some new guys in. They change some things up. You never know what's going to happen on that side of the ball. But this is on Monday Night Football. They're at home. They should completely dominate the Giants. And then worst case, even if everything's not clicking, Drake Maye, I think we would see him scramble more. He's got some like decent scramble numbers, but I think when push comes to shove, he can scramble even more. He's not that far off to me than like what Josh Allen can offer. We just haven't seen it as much because the record's 10-2. We'll see if he has to use it here, but that's kind of like a nice little break glass in case of emergency button for Drake Maye.
I'm expecting left guard Jarrett Wilson to also be out, correct? So it's like the entire left side of their offensive line, which is really important because those guys have been solid and obviously much better pass protectors than run blockers. And now you go up against a front that has, multiple first-round picks invested into it. So a really good test for that. Dak Prescott is your quarterback 7. This is against the Kansas City Chiefs, as we opened with your quarterback 1. I went back and watched that Chiefs defensive performance against Daniel Jones last week. Chris Jones was just an absolute
menace.
His get off was insane. He was a step or two ahead of every single other player along that defensive line. He was creating wins against Quentin Nelson and Bernard Raymond on top of that. So excited to see how the Cowboys offensive line and Dak Prescott stand tall against that.
Yeah, Chris Jones is still a total nightmare to go up against. I worry about their first rounder, Booker, who has like no lateral ability. He's built like a house, but I'm worried about Chris Jones against him. And then Tyler Guyton, their left tackle, he hasn't practiced this week with an ankle injury. So hopefully they get that. Now, the good news is they got enough weapons right now. George Pickens is completely graduated to like elite wide receiver territory that Dak Prescott's gonna be able to navigate this. The Chiefs defense is like solid, but they're better when they have like a little bit more time to game plan things. You can get really funky stuff from Steve Spagnuolo. This game's at least on Thanksgiving. Also, Dak Prescott is like as experienced as they come in the league. I think that he's really, really smart back there. Same thing with Shough, same thing with Clayton Adams. It just seems like they have all the answers right now schematically, where the Steve Spagnuolo wrinkles make me a little bit less nervous here than it would be with more time coming off of a bye week against an inexperienced quarterback. So I think largely this will be fine. Still have a lot of faith in the Chiefs defense, but I can see Mahomes going crazy against the Cowboys defense, and Dak Prescott, George Pickens, CeeDee Lamb is more than enough to make this thing a big time shootout.
Here's your worksheet moment of the week. Using play action, Dak Prescott has a 143 passer rating, second in the league. He's completing a league high 81% of his passes, 5th in yards per attempt, second touchdown rate. He's used play action on about 28% of his dropbacks. And then the Chiefs are actually allowing, they're 31st, let's just say, against them when facing play action passes. So
there we go.
We should see quite a bit of that of the under center work from Dak Prescott in this contest.
Yeah, I think they use play action and motion and stuff better than most teams. Like they're doing with purpose in Dallas. You saw that in the pick route for George Pickens, just using motion to kind of chop off 2 corners against each other, and that's just like really smart game planning.
Take a quick moment. Think back to your first job. For me, scooping ice cream in the summer at a local Ben and Jerry's. I wanted my money as quickly as possible. Cash App allows me to do that via direct deposit 2 days earlier than some banks. Cash App is more than just a safe way to send and receive money, which, by the way, it's very good at that. Very, very quick and easy to sign up. But with the Cash App card, you get tons of perks without hidden fees. Think early access to concert pre-sales like Kendrick Lamar and Sabrina Carpenter. Shout out Hayden. He just went to a Sabrina concert. Plus, discounts on everyday purchase at brands you're probably already spending money on. It also keeps your money safe by automatically flagging suspicious transactions and letting you lock your card instantly if it's ever lost or stolen. For a limited time, new Cash App customers can earn $10 if they use code CashApp10 in their profile at sign up and send $5 to a friend within 14 days. Terms apply. Cash App is a financial services platform, not a bank. Banking services provided by Cash App's bank partners. Prepaid debit cards issued by Sutton Bank, member FDIC. Discounts and promotions provided by Cash App, A Block Inc. brand. Visit cash.app/legal/podcast for full disclosures. Justin Herbert is your quarterback 8. This is against the Las Vegas Raiders with a spread of 10 points. That's a lot here for the Chargers, who I believe the last time we saw them out there got beaten up along the offensive line.
No, but it's a good time to have a bye week coming off of that game. Come back home. You're going to be in LA here, which is largely a Raiders home game. Let's be honest here, but we're not dealing with weather, and the Raiders defense right now is just super vanilla. It's just cover 3 zone again. And They rush for a bunch too, so it's a little bit easier to kind of game plan. They still have all these weapons. The Raiders secondary is really bad. So yeah, is it one of the worst offensive lines? Absolutely. Is it Max Crosby? Absolutely. But the rest of the matchup, let's be honest, it's pretty clean here. So hopefully just come up with some better answers coming off the bye weeks. We still don't know if Amari Hampton is going to suit up here. There's a chance he will. But I wouldn't really be moving my rankings for Justin Herbert, whether he plays or not. So projected for 26 points at home. He's a quarterback one.
Bo Nix coming off a bye, hopefully get that sophomore year struggling quarterback bump for Bo Nix. Because prior to the bye, he was the quarterback 14, 25, and 19. And now he gets the Washington Commanders defense.
I think it's just a great spot for him as well. The Commanders defense against their zone defense has just been pathetic, and it's only going to get worse without their top two outside corners. That's Trey Amos, a really athletic second rounder, and then Marshawn Lattimore, who was just like not very good, but it was still operating as their cornerback one. So I ranked Cortland Sutton pretty aggressively. The team total is up at 25 points, despite them being on the road here. And I can see Bo Nix just having like a good close of the year. That's what he did last year. Hopefully Sean Payton, Bo Nix kind of ironed out some of the kinks out there, and they can kind of double down on the things that have been working and kind of get rid of the stuff that hasn't been out here. So I think they should cruise to a victory in Washington.
I could also see, because of the, let's say, lack of athleticism on the Commanders defense, the Sean Payton drawn up plays on a napkin could really work in this with the design stuff.
Yep.
And that's always important for this version of the Broncos offense. Sam Darnold is your quarterback 10. This is against the Minnesota Vikings defense. Sam Darnold last week, really, really freaking good. They have to, obviously, block up front and the pressure looks and the pressure packages, but it's going to be an interesting in-game storyline between the team that he was the quarterback of last year.
Yeah, I don't know if this is, I would go revenge game. I guess they didn't re-sign him, so he's got to feel some type of way, but also jump-started their career. So I think it was funny. Flores, I think, said in the media, Sam, we're going to blitz you here. And it's like, I did just like saying that. Just pretty fun stuff. Sam's been excellent, though, like deep down the field. So you better be correct when you're bringing these pressure looks, because if they don't get home in time, here comes JSN and Rashid Shaheed, and their even some of their tight ends can move downfield. So I'm expecting some shot plays. They're fifth in projected points. They're at home, 26.5 points. So they need the explosives. Did want to mention one quick thing. Inside the 5-yard line, rushing rate, the Seahawks are actually the highest, and that explains all the Zach Charbonnet touchdowns down there. It's them and Jacksonville run the ball when they're inside the 5-yard line more than anybody else. So Sam Darnold, for his production to matter, he's not going to take off and scramble. He has to have the explosive plays down the field. The good news is he hasn't missed a downfield throw in about 2 years.
Okay, Jaxson Dart is your quarterback 14. We are expecting him to play this week. This is Monday Night Football at the New England Patriots. He's quarterback 18 in consensus rankings. So you're expecting an immediate, not bounce back, but just overperformance versus the public's expectation here.
Yeah, I'm guessing some people didn't know if he was going to start or not. I feel good that he will start after some full practices. The real question is, will Kafka keep calling these run plays? Now, he's been calling the plays the entire year, though. So, like, that's one of those things where all the quarterback power, I'm sure Daboll was telling him to do it, but Kafka was the one pressing the buttons throughout the year. Now, I think that maybe from ownership, and maybe they're thinking about collectively, hey, let's maybe a little bit less quarterback power, even though it's really awesome. So we'll see, because that's where he's been. This is kind of where he's ranked on average across the entire season in his starts. I'm expecting a little bit tier down from that, just because I'm guessing they're not going to scramble as much. But we've seen this story a million times. Like the guy that's running around and it's working, even with the injury, he's like, let's just keep doing it. So
yeah, like the early goal as soon as Jaxson Dart got in the starting lineup was, okay, see if he plays well enough for him to obviously be the dude in 2026. So you have that answer. Now the goal is to not have Jaxson Dart enter the blue tent the rest of the season and being checked for any type of injury, not just a head injury, any type of injury. And I guarantee you ownership said, hey, we got to take this design quarterback stuff out unless it's like 1 yard up
high leverage.
Like we cannot do power runs to the outside where he isn't sliding. I mean, he was sliding early in these games, and then later on he was not. So it's just at a point now, just get to 2026 healthy with him still playing the rest of the season. And I really think like that is mission A here.
I agree. Maybe don't run him at like the 36-yard line, but at the 2-yard line, like
great.
It seems to work. So I would guess they're going to do it. It's Monday Night Football after all. And like they want to like attract a head coach and all that type of stuff and just look good on TV. And also just like the pass game's kind of been working. Like they're moving Wandale, like Wandale's having a breakout season. So I think Kafka's like largely done a hell of a job right now. So I think they still have a lot to play for. Even like the record, everything seems really bad. Like there's a lot of like, you got a rookie quarterback, you got a interim head coach who's like trying to keep his job. I think there's still like a lot to play for New York, even though they've been completely eliminated.
Yeah, Kafka's had head coaching interviews in previous cycles, so he has a lot of respect internally inside the NFL. Jordan Love is next as quarterback 12 for you. This is at the Detroit Lions once again on Thanksgiving Day. This seems to be a huge bounce back spot for the Lions defense. Obviously, Packers first and third down conversion rate, 6th in red zone touchdown rate. Everyone saw that throwback touchdown and the Jameis Winston touchdown. By the way, should the Giants just play Jameis at tight end and run a bunch of 13 personnel stuff?
He catches it better than Theo does.
Yeah. But there are also other elements of this Lions defense last week that just allowed too many completions to Jameis Winston, who he was throwing to. So now you have Jordan Love. Obviously, it's kind of rocky and not for all 4 quarters here for the Packers. But we have seen that Matt LaFleur in his past has some awesome like protection plans against Aiden Hutchinson, and they just dominate the middle of the field area throwing to it against his Lions defense.
I'm ahead of consensus on Jordan Love, and like I have him ahead of Joe Burrow and Jared Goff, which like really matters for like Thanksgiving DFS, which I absolutely love, and we have a bunch of drafts over on Underdog Network. I really like Jordan Love this week because it's the man coverage stuff. So the Lions have a good defense, but they're better against the run. So they're, I think, 5th in EPA against the run. They're 17th through the air. Josh Jacobs, they don't know if he's going to be fully ready to go or not. So I can just see this team passing the ball a little bit more. Hopefully Matthew Golden comes back from injury, because the Lions defense, while it's good, they leave their guys on islands all the time. And Jordan Love is PFF's quarterback 1 against man coverage. He's averaging 7.8 yards per attempt. There's the type of games where he goes crazy as he's launching the ball down the field. And they have the bodies right now to win down the field with Christian Watson, hopefully Matthew Golden back, and hopefully Romeo Doubs can add to that. And the Lions will just like live and die by putting their guys on islands. And that's just where Jordan Love creates. So in week 1, he went 16 of 22 for 188 yards and 2 scores. They blew him out. Those are like the baseline numbers for him. I just think that the Packers, this could be a spot where they just decide to pass the ball indoors and say, okay, you try to jam us last year and embarrass us because you just played press man coverage down the stretch. Let's try that this year when Jordan Love looks a little bit better. Christian Watson's actually healthy, and hopefully Matthew Golden come back and catch a long one.
This is where you have Joe Burrow. He is your quarterback 13. This is at the Baltimore Ravens. We talked about it in the wide receiver show. In one of their matchups last year, which, by the way, Joe Burrow had ridiculous stats against the Ravens defense last season. 362 passing yards on plays over 2.5 seconds. My question is if that's going to be possible of him buying time, elongating plays, because that's one of his superpowers, So coming off this injury, is he going to do it as often? And if he is going to do it as often, will it be as successful as it has been? Because this Ravens defense has really turned it around since week 6.
I'm not going to lie. I'm pretty nervous about the injury. This is like well ahead of schedule, like by all accounts here. Now he's like medically cleared to play and is full participant in practice. So like he should be out there and be able to finish the game. It's just a matter of how effective he is. And I've been watching Brock Purdy, which I think it's to the different side of the toe, like different foot. But the Brock Purdy stuff is just like not looked very good. The ball just is kind of fluttering. It's not as accurate as before. And this is like a divisional game where the Ravens have just seemed to figure things out defensively right now with Kyle Hamilton since week 5 when they moved him from deep safety to inside the box. They're the best rushing EPA defense in the league. So you're going to have a one-dimensional game plan. Joe Burrow's going to drop back to pass a bunch. Without T. Higgins, there's just fewer options for Cincinnati. And I just don't think that Joe Burrow is going to be able to move around as much. But to me, like the big thing is, can he sit there, throw the ball over the middle with the same velocity and same accuracy as before? Because he just has like less margin for error the way that he plays football if he's like not completely dialed in on how the timing and the velocity of his throws are. So we'll see. I hope he proves me wrong and that he's like fully ready to go and we can watch a very fun Bengals season. Or this could have just been like, I gave it my all, just wasn't fully healthy, and I really missed T. Higgins.
Jared Goff in that same matchup against the Packers. They are 2.5-point favorites. Game total of 48.5. Went back and looked at just some stats because the eye test, we know what it looked like in week 1 against this Packers defense, albeit that one was on the road. This one's in the dome. We know those can be notable differences here for California Jared. A 4.2 ADOT in week 1, 3 turnover-worthy plays, just 225 passing yards on 43 dropbacks. So with now Dan Campbell calling plays and Jameson Williams, other than last week, finding a bit of a flow in recent weeks, hopefully that's going to change here.
Back in week 1, the Packers pretty much didn't blitz Jared Goff and pretty much didn't play any man coverage. It was like all regular zone defenses. And what happened was the Lions lost their one-on-one matchups up front. Micah Parsons got them, but even some of their other guys were just like bull rushing guys. Hopefully that's not the case here, but we'll note that their center Graham Glasnow has not practiced yet. And then we lost their left guard. So now we have a backup left guard in there. So it makes me a little bit nervous here. We are back at home. And then since week 1, Jared Goff against zone coverage, against non-blitzes, he's 3rd in yards per attempt, about 8.5. You're back inside, cozy little hands ready to go here. But the Packers have just also kind of had it, with Jared Goff. Last note I did want to mention, though, since Dan Campbell's taken over plays, they've been a lot more pass heavy. I don't know if that's by design or a coincidence or matchups or whatever the case may be, but they have been far more pass heavy since the bye week than they have been since Jared Goff got into town.
Next, Jacoby Brissett as the quarterback 15. I mean, some might say this is too low here for our dear Jacoby. 6 straight top 12 scoring weeks. 6 straight.
Yeah.
Just finished as quarterback 7. I mean, Bucs defense susceptible to under center play action. Books don't expect this one to get out of hand. I mean, in flow, in rhythm, Jacoby off of that. I'm excited for this one. I know it's on the road, but I mean, this is one of those defenses that Jacoby's seen everything across the league. And typically when Todd Bowles beats you up, it's because it's a younger, less veteran style of quarterback.
Sure. It is a West Coast team going East Coast against Todd Bowles for an early start. So just some little trends. They're only projected for under 21 points. And I'm not sure if we want Jacoby Brissett in a close game. I wanted them down multiple scores and just, coming back and putting jerseys into Canton. So we'll see. Obviously, I have a lot of respect for Jacoby Brissett. I've ranked Michael Wilson extremely high. Same thing with Trey McBride. But it's just kind of like one of these situations, like West Coast Cardinals team going to Todd Bowles early East Coast. It's like I've seen how this one plays out too.
At the same time, Drew Petzing probably knows our run game sucks. Our run game's going to suck even more against Tampa Bay. So
correct.
If we're going to run 45 plays, how about we drop back at least 40 times of that?
Yep. And that's why I have Michael Wilson as a top 10 fantasy wide receiver. He's catching the ball.
Okay. Trevor Lawrence. I know it's been rocky with our real eyes, but if we look at our fake football dilemma here, Trevor Lawrence has finished as a quarterback 14 or higher in 6 of the last 7 games. Since week 5, he's the quarterback 9 in points per game at just 20 points. It's pretty dang good from a fake football standpoint.
Very good for fake football. He's had a couple goal line rushes, famously against the Chiefs back there. But I'm expecting Brian Thomas to come back, and like all of a sudden, the 3 wide receiver set with Brenton Strange makes sense to me again. Like you have the explosive threat, you have Jacoby Myers and Parker Washington working over the middle and underneath. Brenton Strange kind of doing a little bit of everything, and then they're getting good production out of the running backs. The Titans. Their defensive tackles make me nervous against Jacksonville's interior, which has been, I think, a problem for a lot of this year. But the secondary is still pretty mediocre. So team total is really high for Jacksonville, up at 24 points, despite being on the road. So I think he's like a firm upside quarterback to play. And I think that the difference between him and like Sam Darnold is like pretty much minuscule.
I mean, it's against Tennessee's defense too. So we've had more difficult matchups here for Trevor, and he's gotten there. So I know everyone's in the boat this week because there are no bye weeks, but Trevor's a pretty good start.
Yep.
Okay. Caleb Williams. Cannot wait for this one. I mean, simply cannot wait. He's quarterback 13 in consensus rankings and quarterback 17 for you. Do not post that on Twitter, Hayden, and then or else your mentions will be filled by Bears saying, well, your opinion doesn't matter. You wear a beanie and they play football. He's going to be a Hall of Famer.
Yeah, this is just for the podcast, 35 minutes in, sickos only. Obviously, I love Caleb Williams. I believe he's a top 10 fantasy quarterback on the season and top 10 in EPA as a team. So the signs are there for Caleb. Now, Vic Fangio, if you guys haven't seen, this defense looks pretty damn amazing. So you're on the road. You're projected for under 19 points. That is sandwiched between offensive juggernauts, the Giants and the Commanders in terms of team total. Obviously, Caleb's going to run a lot. But, man, they have like 3 stud linebackers. You got Cooper DeJean to kind of track them down. And then like Jalen Phillips. And then plus their defensive tackles go crazy. So it's not like it's a very, very difficult matchup for Caleb. So it's like for him to still be my quarterback 17 is a compliment to what he's been doing.
Yeah, I joke, but I feel like the most fun element is that of Caleb is you can actually have nuance in this conversation of it's clear the trajectory of this Bears offense is going up, but that doesn't mean it's just linear, right? Like there can be ups and downs with the entire thing. Okay. So for this one, the questions I have every time someone faces this Bears offense is one, is their defensive line good enough to bring Caleb down on those kind of like wrap up sacks that he's been crazy flexible and strong to avoid? Granted, last week was his quickest time to throw, so maybe they're trying to kind of avoid those, even if last week he did have one. Second, will his league-leading inaccurate rate lead to turnovers? Because that really hasn't happened this year. Like there were a couple I thought dropped turnover-worthy plays last week that didn't actually go into interceptions. Yeah. And if not, we know that Caleb in this offense is going to create explosives. I mean, they're close to league leaders when it comes to generating explosive plays. So as you said, 6 games as a top 10 quarterback, then 5 games as a quarterback 20 or worse. So it's either like, he definitely was a fantasy starter, or he was one of the worst fantasy starters of the week.
Yep. I think the good thing about Caleb's inaccuracies is he's going to miss it long and way over the top. I mean, so it's they're not very turnover worthy play because it is like cheerleader level throws down the field. So I guess that's another compliment for him. Just the fact that he's not taking sacks is humongous. Obviously, he had the one really bad one, but the rest of the time he's just not taking sacks. So we know where the creativity is going to end up here. So if he can pull off an upset against the Eagles and stuff like that, that'll be an all-timer.
We've been talking up his athleticism all year long. If you look in the underdog lobby, which by the way, might be prediction markets for some of you, 20 plus states, including, Florida, Georgia, Texas, California, or pick them in many other states. Look, we're in 40 of them right now. I'm going to take the higher on his 22.5 rushing yards for this week. He's going to need it either in catch-up mode or evading some of those pressures and getting up the field. If you want to play this week, Thanksgiving, Black Friday, this weekend, it's feast week. So we got boost tokens, all this stuff headed in your direction. Or if you've never played before, play $5 and I'll give you $75 of bonus cash in your direction. Use promo code The Show or click the link in the description down below. Daniel Jones, big test, goes from the Kansas City Chiefs defense now to the Houston Texans defense, one that has not allowed a top 12 scoring week this season, despite playing the likes of Matthew Stafford and Josh Allen already this year.
I could have told you that without even looking it up. I mean, the Texans defense is as good as it gets. And still, the Colts are projected for 24.5 points. I mean, that's more than the Cowboys, like that's just a sign of, hey, like, man, the Colts have looked really bad on offense. And then you look at the numbers like, oh, they still like moved the ball like the entire game. It was just like there's a couple of turnovers here and there, and they faced a good Steve Spagnuolo blitz at the right time. Don't obviously hate the matchup entirely. And then Daniel Jones has been so-so. I'm waiting for Daniel Jones to take off and run a little bit. Like, where has that been? Like, games are starting to matter a lot more. We have not seen that. Things are not going as cleanly as they were before, where they're like number 1 in points per drive in like the last 2 decades. I want to see Daniel Jones take off and run. He's capable of doing it. When you're facing all this pressure, I think this would be like a good opportunity for him to use his legs. But obviously, we're firmly into quarterback 2 land just because of the matchup.
Baker Mayfield, off of a left shoulder issue, is still expected to play against the Arizona Cardinals. He's quarterback 26 in consensus rankings. Again, quarterback 19 for you. This has been a miserable streak for Baker Mayfield in the first 6 weeks, who was red hot. I mean, week 7, he is 28th in completion percentage, league low 5.3 yards per attempt. And then he's 23rd in touchdown rate on top of it.
Yeah, hopefully you guys are learning about sample sizes and regression and, like running hot and then it doesn't run as hot and, kind of have to even things out. That's what I'm doing here with Baker Mayfield. The injury makes me nervous, but at the same time, they still are projected for over 23 points at home against a Cardinals defense that's also really beat up. When the post route touchdowns are hitting, he's awesome. When they're not hitting, it's not awesome. He also had that one stint in the season where he was not running at all, which was totally out of character. He's ran a little bit more recently. It's an AC joint sprain to his non-throwing shoulder. Not my favorite, but it's also one of the injuries where you get the Beaver tranquilizer in there and you're kind of ready to go. And that's just kind of where it's been. I know he's had significant shoulder separations and stuff.
The dude loves to take a hit.
He does love to take a hit, but guess what? When you got the juices flowing in that shoulder, that's a problem for when you retire and you got arthritis in there and all that type of stuff. So I moved him down a little bit for the injury, but AC joint non-throwing shoulder in the NFL is it's not nothing, but it's teetering on nothing.
And it's notable that his pick 6 last week against the Rams was not his fault. I mean, K. Dotton turned into a juggler and gave it to the opposition. Okay, next is Brock Purdy. This is at the Cleveland Browns. I want to lead this by saying that this seems to be the weather game of the week. According to Kevin Roth of Roto Grinders, this is the only orange game. Yellow is Chicago at Philadelphia, so keep that one in mind. But for this one, again, Kevin Roth, Roto Grinders, quote, a decent chance for some rain plus some potent winds. I need to use potent more often. Right now, models are showing sustained winds around 20 miles per hour, gusts pushing around 35 miles per hour. Those numbers may go up or down a hair, but I do think we end up in a spot that makes for deeper throws and kicks more difficult. Guess what? Brock Purdy, 3 interceptions last week, tried to throw a couple more. A lot of deep throws, and even without bad weather, he's not getting the same oomph behind those passes right now.
There's just more ducks right now on tape with Brock Purdy. He's just playing through an injury. It's very evident with him. He's not going to run as often, which he's been very good at, buying time, throwing the ball down the field. But just the accuracy in the throws over the middle, it just has not been as clean as it typically is. And that is a absolute requirement in this offense. And now you're going to do it in weather against one of the best defenses in the league. If he has an awesome game, cool. You have all the yards after the catch moments in the offense, so you can run pure and all that. But what make Brock Purdy way different than Mac Jones and Jimmy G is when he's healthy, he's ripping throws down the field and is extending plays. And right now he's just not doing that. So this is the Jimmy G offense, and you're in Cleveland, and we wouldn't be starting Jimmy G in Cleveland. So I don't think we should be starting Brock Purdy outside of Superflex leagues. Yeah,
I think this game total has dropped by 6 points since it opened. So it was at 42.5, and now it's down to 36.5. I'm assuming
that's Army Navy. Yeah, that's Army Navy.
I mean, 36.5 points for a game is teeny tiny. And the Browns defense is good everywhere. They're even better at home versus on the road. Okay, Tua is at home. This is against the New Orleans Saints. He's your quarterback 21. I feel like this is our ideal spot for Tua. We always talk about it. I'm not calling, the Saints defense bad, because they definitely have some veteran and some youngish pieces that are good. But this is a spot here at home where, coming off a bye, that Tua and company typically post some of their best performances of the season.
Yeah, that's a good point. Move them ahead of Baker and Purdy, at least. Okay. The team total is right in line next to the Buccaneers. It's at 23.5. So he's kind of sandwiched between Trevor Lawrence and Baker Mayfield there. Tua is just so interesting for fantasy because he has to have 300 yards and 3 touchdowns to be a top 10 fantasy quarterback, which is very difficult to do. But you're at home. It's Miami and it's the Saints. And the offense is still I think largely been working, without Tyreek Hill. They're at least holding the lines. Has not been a total embarrassment for a lot of it. So came back well rested. And I haven't seen Tua in front of the podium in a little bit. So hopefully it was a good behind the scenes week in the locker room for Miami.
Hopefully. Cam Ward is the quarterback 22. This might be the highest ranking we've seen him all season long. And that's even with all 32, picks available here. This is against the Jacksonville Jaguars defense. Anything you want to say?
Offense is facing Jacksonville pass the ball at the highest rate in neutral situations. Cam Ward was amazing last week. And it's not because like all of a sudden he had like new wide receiver. It's just like, no, it's like undrafted free agents at wide receiver. And he's just making a bunch of plays. They've talked about it. And McCoy has mentioned this, the interim. Hey, we need to get Cam Ward scrambling a little bit more. And that's something that we've been talking about as a prospect. And then also a lot this season. And we talked about it when we did our deep dive. And last week, it was probably the most he's been moving around the entire year. So hopefully that's like a trend. Yeah, hopefully he's subscribed to the channel at least. And
we got Zach Robinson. We've got McCoy doing this. Yes. I mean, we're just racking them up this season.
Come on. So I think Cam Ward's like a decent quarterback right now, and they're going to pass the ball more. I don't trust the environment whatsoever. And Jacksonville's defense could like really create some turnovers, but they're dealing with some injuries themselves right now. I don't know the injury report with Trayvon Walker and some of their secondary pieces, but if he's going to scramble a little bit more and he's going to stay as aggressive as he is, then you can at least see him like move the needle a little bit in super flex. Now the team total is still at 17.5. So like, let's keep these realistic, but
okay. Kirk Cousins is up next. He's the quarterback 23 for you. This is against the New York Jets. Drake London almost certainly ruled out again. He's listed as doubtful at this moment. Falcons project for 21 points on the road. That is not that bad when you look at other teams across the league at this moment.
Yeah, it's just one of these offenses, though. They're going to do the 3 tight end stuff, Bijan and Algier. Yeah. I just like don't know how much of the quarterback points I can even like put on Kirk Cousins' face. I mean, how white is he on our tier list? Like he looks like a freaking ghost, man. He needs to go outside.
No. Stuff happens. I mean, look, we're deep into November, almost in December. He plays in a dome. What do you expect?
Man, he's got to go outside a little bit more than that. It's the Jets, like the Jets, they're tanking, like they're straight up tanking. So some good things could happen to Kirk. Who knows?
Okay. CJ Stroud all the way down as quarterback 24. This is at the Indianapolis Colts. The underlying metrics for the Houston Texans continue to look miserable. They are 28th in third down conversion rate this season. They're 31st in red zone touchdown success rate. Now, a lot of that can be attributed to a waning and waxing rushing game, an inconsistent version of that too. But we're seeing, 3 straight wins here from Davis Mills and CJ Stroud, obviously a superior player, but now he's facing Lou Anarumo in his first game back from a concussion.
Let's put him ahead of Brock Purdy too. Team total is at 20 points, which isn't great. It's definitely a tier below like Tua and Daniel Jones and Baker Mayfield. But and also it's like the matchup's kind of interesting because all of a sudden without DeForest Buckner and then now you have like those 3 safeties, I think it's like more of a run funnel. But I also just think that the Texans seem a little bit more like in tune with where they should be going on offense. We like some of their 6 offensive lineman looks. We like Jaden Higgins moving around the formation, Woody Marks over Nick Chubb. So they're starting to like press the right buttons here, and Davis Mills has been playing decent football. Hopefully CJ Stroud's like actually ready to go too, because the concussion stuff, it's been a while since he's actually practiced. So hopefully he plays here. But the Colts defense is like not one to like be messing around with largely right now.
Yeah, I'm excited to see these big, long corners in man coverage match up against the big, tall wide receivers like Sauce versus Nico, Travarius Ward against Jaden Higgins. Those are just some fun, isolated outside matchups too. Tyler Shough, quarterback, 25, team total around 18 points. This is at the Miami Dolphins. This Saints team, easily the worst team in the league in terms of red zone touchdown success rate. They are 10 points worse than the 31st team, which is the Houston Texans that we just talked about, at 34%.
Yeah. I mean, they have no offensive linemen right now. Like they're on other teams and injured, and no running backs. So like, I don't know how that's going to get better. And then they keep bringing in Taysom Hill. Like that's a hard part with Tyler Shough is like, he can march him down the field. It's at the 4-yard line. Here comes Taysom Hill rolling out and like throwing the ball away. It's like, all right, well, you get no fantasy points for that. So not expecting Alvin Kamara to play, no Rashid Shaheed, no Brandon Cooks. I mean, it's like Chris Olave and then Vele and Juwan Johnson, it's like a bad situation. The Dolphins defense is also really weird because they've been like dreadful at times. And then they had a stint in like October, early November, where they're actually showing some signs of life despite losing some players. So I don't have like a good feel for the Dolphins defense right now. And then Tyler Shough's game's obviously been up and down. He can throw the ball down the field. So if those hit, then he can finish strong. But the reality is like the Saints are fully tanking right now.
Aaron Rodgers, we're expecting to be back. He's quarterback 26 against the Buffalo Bills. Throwing on the Bills, not great. Quick throws against them, probably also not great.
Yeah.
I would expect if the Steelers do win this game, it's going to be a heavy dose of their own 12 and 13 personnel and a lot of run looks out of it too.
Yeah, the team's just been running against the Bill. I think it's at the highest rate in the league right now. It's been hugely successful, and they just got a good cornerback group over there. And Sean McDermott can scheme it up, and they can press the right buttons. And then Rodgers is like so limited in how they're spinning the football. Like if they get the perfect look down the field, he'll spin it. But for the most part, just been dink and dunks and tight ends and whatnot. So I think there's going to be a very run-heavy game plan here, and then just never know about the wrist. We're talking about a 41-year-old with a broken wrist trying to play football. Like, it is what it is.
Well, his old team, the Jets, have Tyrod Taylor at quarterback. This is against the Atlanta Falcons. Tyrod aided a lot by Breece Hall last week with that sweet 45-yard play after the catch, but we know he takes the check down when it comes to it. Falcons, I mean, once again, when they faced Tyler Shough last week, went back to allowing like 150 passing yards, and that's about it.
Yeah, when they're not facing Bryce Young, it's like go time, you know? I saw some Bryce Young stats about his on-off splits with the Falcons versus everybody else, and I mean, that will make you think twice. Yeah, Tyrod, I mean, it's just so limited. Like he's throwing to John Mechie and Adonai Mitchell and Mason Taylor right now. And then Tyrod Taylor is just not going to run as much as he used to. And like, even though he's a veteran, he's not like been lighting it up through the air like Jacoby Brissett and those guys are. So team total is really low for a reason. Falcons defense is kind of savage too. Like it's like a version of like the Flores stuff where let's bring a bunch of weirdness. And I'm not sure if like I always talk about that defense against inexperienced coordinators, and like the OC last time he was calling plays was like in the XFL or whatever it was. So we'll see how he can handle it.
Okay. Bryce Young, quarterback 28 against the Rams. Rams defense and just team overall has allowed the fewest points in the league with 179. Makes total sense that the Panthers are only projected for 17.5 in this game.
Yeah, could you give me the update on the offensive line? It's like every single week, it's just something.
Yeah,
new.
I mean, Cade Mays maybe comes back at center, but then their right guard, now they're on their basically fifth option, which is not good against Kobe Turner and Braden Fisk and all these guys.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. They rush four a lot and then a couple of like nickel pressures, but I think that their four can just get home against Bryce. We'll see. Like they have a very, very, very conservative game plan. Like even when they're throwing the ball, like you'll get some hole shots to Bryce Young, but for the rest of the game, it just everything's underneath. I think that's like the lowest yards per completion in NFL history, like after like 1,000 completions or something like that. So everything's just been underneath right now. So if he can scramble and stuff, he can bail himself out. So I think I'll put him ahead of the bottom row here. Put him ahead of Kirk Cousins. Put him ahead of Kirk Cousins too. Like
wow,
Kirk Cousins
is happening right now.
I mean, at least Bryce Young could run a little bit, and he'll need to run because they're 10.5 point dogs here. So hopefully we get some Bryce Young rushing work. The other guys aren't going to run.
Marcus Mariota as quarterback 29. This is against the Denver Broncos. He'll need to run in this matchup. On top of it.
Yeah.
It does seem like he's going to get two receivers back, so we might not see as much Chris Moore and the dudes other than Deebo Samuel. Terry McLaurin and Noah Brown are practicing this week.
Yeah, team total is under 19 points. You get the Broncos. I don't know, man. Mariota has been like a solid quarterback too, so maybe it's a little bit low, but I mean, ever since we got to like Cam Ward, all these guys are projected for 16, 17, 18 points as a team. So you're only playing these guys in Superflex against your will.
Okay. Well, we still got to talk about him because Geno Smith's up next. The spreadsheets probably loved his shots down the field last week to Trey Tucker. Unfortunately, they only counted for positivity in air yards leagues because they were incomplete and hit the turf, and they absolutely sucked. And he took like 8 sacks on top of it. And now he faces the Chargers. And we've talked about team totals all show long. And near the bottom is this Raiders offense with a new coordinator at 15.75 points.
I couldn't believe it. Greg this is his third time being the Raiders coordinator. Like, how is that even? How can you possibly come back for a third time? I mean, that's ridiculous.
I mean, hey, if we can be honest, that is the definition of bad teams stay bad because of ownership.
Yeah, I mean, Greg Olsen again.
And in between there, it was like Norv Turner and Sons also as play callers.
Yes.
Like, again, it's just recycling.
Yes.
Oh, we're going to fire our coach, so we're just going to bring this guy back.
Yeah, it's wild. I went back and watched all of the sacks, and I tried to decide who was to blame for these. And a couple of times there's like, Myles Garrett, you're an alien. It's like, it is what it is. But most of the time it was just, I mean, getting bull rushed to death across the offensive line. There was one time where I thought Geno was responsible for being hot, didn't get that out in time. And then there's a couple times like he was like trying to throw a screen or a check down, and the receiver would just be like falling down or whatever. It is a total mess out there. But if you're in a super flex league and especially got, then I would still rank him over most of the other options. Chargers defense has been pretty good coming off a bye. Yeah, we'll see. And Ashton Genty might not even play on top of that. Who knows?
Brosmer. I'm just going to call him Brosmer. Against the Seattle Seahawks. Good luck in your first start here, son. You're cosplaying as Paxton Lynch in your team photo. What are you expecting Brosmer to look like on the field in his debut?
Look, I haven't been breaking down Brosmer tape. I've been reading enough reports where I think he was going to get a crack at it no matter what. They seem like interested. Like, I've seen the name Brock Purdy thrown out there with Brosmer a million times this week. Now, obviously, for every Brock Purdy, there's a million guys that we have never even heard of. So that's the most likely scenario. And even Brock Purdy, a rookie year, going into Seattle, your first start, I don't know. There's a reason the team totals up at or down at 15 points. But I'm intrigued to watch this just to see how like in rhythm he is. Because if you are in rhythm enough, you got some absolute weapons. And I'm also curious to see if like Kevin O'Connell calls the same no check down offense where you just have to throw the ball down the field against this pass rush. I'd like to see some like Kevin O'Connell wrinkles to the game plan a little bit too. That'd be nice.
Yeah, a 15 team total. Yeah. I've seen some like comments this week of, wow, the structure of a Kevin O'Connell offense just isn't it. Like, what are we doing here? Like, Kevin O'Connell is one of the best play callers in the NFL, scheme designers in the NFL, and you have Justin Jefferson and Jordan Addison throwing the football like to them. I mean, that to say the structure of this environment is bad is ludicrous. Right.
It requires like a certain level of quarterback play because you got to make some big boy throws, and they have not been able to do that. There is no check down outlet.
You know, like Josh Dobbs off the street.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. Nick Mullins, huge arm Nick Mullins, you know, like these type of guys. Yeah, no, the offense has been, I think, pretty good for Kevin O'Connell.
Well, we close things out with Shedeur Sanders as your quarterback, 32. Again, we have the weather component here. Once again, it is the only orange game at this moment. You have on top of that, at home, the Browns projected for only 16 points. This 49ers defense has been beat up all season long. And again, the other element, as we saw last week, is somehow, some way, if they get to near the goal line, it was Quinshon Judkins running the football in out of Wildcat.
Yeah, you brought up the same notes I wanted to bring up. Shedeur Sanders is going to get some free touches to his backs and to Harold Fannin, who just makes everybody miss. But the Wildcat stuff, that reduces some of your touchdown odds, and then the weather is going to hurt some of the big play stuff. So he got the Raiders on that blitz. Picked it up, made like that was the guy he was responsible for.
He brings more explosives than Dylan Gabriel brings to the table.
For sure. You have like that option. I think just in the weather, it's harder to imagine that connecting. And then also the big play to Jerry Jeudy, Max Crosby knifes inside. There's nobody out there kind of scrambles around, has enough time. Those plays were awesome. You don't get those every single week. Those are like awesome like plays in the moment, but those aren't like things that you kind of replicate. It's not like he was like hitting the backside dig a bunch of times. So we'll see. I think it's gonna be a challenge to do it in the Cleveland weather. It is what it is.
Look, everyone can have an opinion, and ours is no different to anyone else's. But can I read you Josina Anderson's latest tweet while we were recording the show?
Please, I live for this.
Quote: watching to see today if someone is going to ask Kevin Stefanski about the strained ending of his post-game speech last Sunday following the win in Las Vegas, or the personnel on the field and not on the field for the two Quinshon Judkins rushing touchdowns.
Ooh, conspiracy theory at the goal line.
Yeah, I mean, the Browns run the football a lot. They've been two other occasions having Wildcat touchdowns. near the goal line for Quinshawn. I don't think it's undermining your starting quarterback when you're trying to win the game and those two plays work.
They work
to score points.
Like they literally worked. Oh, that's good. I love it. She should be victory lapping even more this week. I've been kind of underwhelmed with the Josine stuff. It should have been like relentless on the timeline every single hour. Like this was the time for her to go crazy. So I've been waiting for more from her.
Okay, let's talk about tight ends. I did not forget them this week. Once again, if you want to play an underdog this week, it is feast week. There's no better time to do it. We're in 40 plus states out there with prediction markets, pick 'em, drafts on top of it. And yes, specifically with prediction markets, if you want to take sides and totals, we're in 20 plus states out there. Texas, Georgia, California, Florida, Virginia, South Carolina. Get in the game, get in the action. Use promo code The Show. If you play $5 your first time, I'll give you $75 in bonus cash. So click the link in the description down below. All right, your top tier. Let's go with the top 4 this week. Trey McBride, Travis Kelce, Brock Bowers, George Kittle. We talked about the weather. We talked about Yak. I know Carson Schwarzenegger and all these guys, but George Kittle being an integral part of the San Francisco 49ers passing attack if they get to 20.5 points.
Agree that he'll be like the primary focus, but I just don't think that they're going to be as successful. So I think still it's just a bad matchup. And Carson Schwarzenegger, like, get to know the name. We're going to be looking at him as an all-pro for many, many years in a row. And he's got great coverage skills. So I think it's going to be a fun matchup individually for sickos only. Brock Bowers, we talked about it. They're projected for under 16 points. So I wanted to focus in on Travis Kelce because he's just been performing pretty well over the last month or so, even with Rashee Rice back. And the Cowboys are 8th worst against tight end receptions. They're still worst at linebacker and safety. They're getting a little bit better at linebacker now due to some injuries, but I think pass funnel, Quinnen Williams, throw the ball over the top, let Kelce kind of work, especially against zone coverage. Like that's when you get the mind meld going between these two. So Cowboys run a lot of zone coverage. So I like Travis Kelce on a Thanksgiving.
I like that a lot. And if we can continue this one, Mark Andrews, Tyler Warren to finish out the top 6. I think Tyler Warren's imperative if the Colts are going to win this game because, the cornerbacks against the Colts wide receivers, you have Derek Stingley, you have Kamari Lassiter, and then they're good everywhere, the Texans defense. But really Tyler Warren might be a matchup they're going to try to take advantage of.
Yep, he's at 50.5 receiving yards, so that's better than Mark Andrews. The thing with Mark Andrews, though, it's just the Bengals defense, it's worst of all time. So I had to look it up. They're allowing 19.3 half PPR points per game. FF today, they go back to 2007. The worst defense before the Bengals this year was at 17.3 half PPR points against. That was the Cardinals back in 2019, which I could vividly remember. Like Al Smith kept talking about the Cardinals defense against tight ends. We're way beyond that this year with whatever the Bengals are doing. So now we have Mark Andrews and Isaiah Likely. And if we don't get Rashad Bateman fully back, this is a week where I think that either one of these guys could go off. And I think Isaiah Likely has done absolutely nothing, but I can even see him having a big game here.
So basically what you're saying is tight ends that face the Bengals are producing Jaxson Smith and Jigba points every single
Yes. Yeah. It's literally. It's crazy. Crazy.
Nuts. Okay. 7 through 12 here. Oronde Gadsden, Jake Ferguson, Kyle Pitts, Juwan Johnson, Hunter Henry, and one of the greatest players to ever play this game in Britton Strange.
Yep.
Slightly tongue-in-cheek, but maybe not. I mean, for this Jaguars team, I'll repeat it. He's been their leading receiver in 3 of their games this season. In 4 of the 5 games that he's played from start to finish, his stat line's 4 for 59, 6 for 61, 6 for 45, and then a 5 for 93. He is a critical pice of that Jaguars offense.
Yeah. You're right to shout him out this last week. Brian Thomas comes back, so that's going to eat at a little bit. But yeah, I think all these guys are rock solid. I think Gadsden definitely has the highest ceiling of the bunch there. But Jake Ferguson, when they're chasing points against Kansas City Chiefs, if that happens, that's a good spot for him. Kyle Pitts without Drake London, that's reasonable. Juwan Johnson without Rashid Shaheed, that's reasonable. Hunter Henry went crazy against the Bengals last week. They're still projected for a bunch of points. Could he be a little outlet without a left tackle? I can see that. And then Brendan Strange's been doing rock solid. So it's a fine list. Pretty forgettable, but they're all right.
Okay. closing things out, Dallas Goedert, Colston Loveland, who continues every single week to show his movement and strength. We talked about pre-draft, post-draft, all throughout when he gets on the field, that he's too athletic for linebackers, too shifty for them, and then too big for defensive backs. And then you also have Harold Fannin, Theo Johnson, Dalton Schultz, Isaiah Likely, and K. Dotton to close this thing out.
I really don't think there's a big difference between the third row and the second row, really. Like, it's just like they're all kind of jumbled together. Each have different warts and upside cases. Like, the youngsters don't play full-time snaps, but they're really good. Dallas Goedert, this is a game where that he can kind of pop off, and he's been somebody used at the goal line. But yeah, Colston Loveland, Harold Fannin, their tape is just really, really good. So I think Colston Loveland's got a potential to be like all pro level player. He looks really, 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 really good.
Have you watched any, and I didn't watch his Shedeur Sanders stuff this week, but previous this season, any JT O'Sullivan watching the Browns? Because immediately he hated watching Harold Fannin.
Yeah, because he kind of turns. Yeah, he's like, who is this guy? But
yeah, he's like, is this a fullback? He's wearing 44.
Yeah, but man, like, if he catches the ball within 3 yards of the line of scrimmage, that is a first down. I mean, this dude, you can literally just can't tackle this guy. So I like him more than JT does.
Yeah, no, that wasn't me saying, oh, JT is 100% right in this. It's just funny which players he obviously picks out. And then.
Right. Well, he is so weird looking. Like, Fannin, you're like, all right, 44. He looks tiny when he's in line, like the way he just kind of lines up. And then when he's running his routes, it doesn't look right. But I think because it doesn't look right, like, that's partly why it works. Like, this corner, the corners and safeties, like, what the hell which way is he even running? It's like hard to tell.
At the very least, Harold Fannin is going to be an awesome role player throughout his entire career.
Yeah. At least Geno Smith.
Yeah. He's really fun. I mean, his production for his age has to be close to like outlier level for the tight end position. Okay. That does it for us. Thank you all for tuning in. Hopefully you have an amazing few days here with your family. We'll be back here on Sunday morning around 11 Eastern to talk about start sets, update you on all the injuries, update you on all the weather concerns on top of it. So shout out to Mosho and Weaves behind the scenes and all of you for watching this up the Villa. We'll talk to y'all soon. See ya.